Hi, Nicholas. I apologize for the problems with the assignment that you're sending in. We've tried twice now, and I still can't see pages 3 through 6. There's some kind of corrupt file thing going on. Usually with files that people send me, if I can't open them in D2L, I have a program that I can use to convert them, but I cannot even download and save these files because I can't get past the Adobe error message. So we're really in a bind here. Unless you can take a picture with your cell phone of the work that you've done and just send it to me as a JPEG, or scan the individual documents and send them in to me again, I don't know what we can do. It's bothering me though that this has been sitting in here for a couple of weeks now and I haven't given you feedback. So what I've decided to do is at least give you feedback on the first 2 pages that I can see. So here goes. Question 1. In question 1, when they describe the things that we are trying to identify, I think it's resistors in this case, they state that there's 1 out of every 6 that are sort of better quality than the rest, and we're trying to find those particular ones. So if we use R for resistors, then the probability of finding R, those special resistors, is that 1 in every 6 should turn out to be one of those. So when we set up our equation, and unfortunately the left-hand side of yours is cut off a little bit and I can't see it all, but when we set up the equation, we're taking 4 resistors. We would like exactly 2 of them to fit into this category. And the category happens to have a probability of 1 in 6 of happening. And so if we have 1 in 6 and we want 2 of those, then that's where that 2 comes from. And that would mean that there's a 5/6 chance that the other 2 would not fit into that criteria. I don't know why I have an equals there. That should be a times. I apologize. So the probability that we're looking for is 4 choose 2 times 1 over 6 squared times 5 over 6 squared. Now, it may be that you just, well, no, I was going to say that you rounded off for 0.3 from 1/6, but that would actually give you 17%, not 30. So I'm not sure where you got the percentages over here, and that's the problem in this one. If you work this out again, we are looking for a probability of 11.6% if you work that out. And so I'm sure if you try it again with those numbers, that's what you'll get. Okay, question 2 looks good. Question 2, sorry, looking at the wrong note. For part A of question 2, what we're looking for is to fill in 4 spaces because we're looking for a 4-digit number. And so if we think about the number of ways that we can fill in each of those slots, then normally if we didn't have any restrictions at all in terms of what the numbers could be, we have 10 numbers to choose from. And because we're allowed repeats, like the number could definitely be like 3333, then we can have 10 ways to choose each of those 4 numbers, 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, and that's 10 to the 4. So what we're doing here is we're creating a probability because we're saying we want just the even digits. What's the probability of that happening? Well, if we cut it down to just the even digits, then we're only going to have 5 digits to choose from in each of those spaces. And because repeats are allowed, again, we could have 2, 2, 2, 2, for example. So we have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So if you work it out that way, you'll get a probability of 1 in 2, or 50% of the numbers that should be all even digits. Okay, your expected value for 2b is correct though. So moving on to question 3. It's question 3 that's fine. You added up the probability of 0 plus the probability of 1, the probability of 2, and the probability of 3, and that's definitely how you get those values. I did notice though that question 3C, where it asked you to explain an alternate method of finding that, was not answered. So make sure that you reread the questions before you hand in your assignment, just to make sure you haven't missed one like that. Okay, here we are looking at question 4. And for question 4, you've approached it correctly. The problem is just in the rounding. And when we are doing a distribution, a probability distribution, then by the time that we've calculated all our probabilities, everything has to fall into one of those probabilities, which means that we've covered 100% of the possibilities, right? Or 100% of the probability. Sorry, those don't look like zeros, do they? That's a percent sign. So when we go down to our bar graph and we have a look, then what I see happening here, unfortunately, is we've got the 1.5s on the end, so that makes 3%. 16 and 16 is 32, so we have 35. And then add to that 62, only gives us 95% of our data being represented. So we've lost 5% of our data. And I believe that that's through rounding, because if you look at some of the values that you rounded off, like 15.6, 31.2, and so on. So if you go back and check that, you should always, with your probability distribution, have 100% of the data represented. So unfortunately, I can't give you feedback on anything else because I can't open any of the other documents. So if you want to try one of those methods and send it to me, then that would be great. If you can't open those any longer because of the same problem, can you just shoot me an email and let me know what's going on with that, because I may just have to mark your assignment based on these first 4 questions only so that you can move on. I just don't want you to be stuck in neutral for a couple of weeks. I know that a lot of my students are hoping to finish their courses before the end of the summer, and you are nearing the end of Unit 2. So at the end of Unit 3, I will do a midterm report card for you. And then you'll have 2 more units to complete before you write your final exam. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a midterm exam after the end of Unit 2, and that's when I do your report card for this course. And then you'll have a final report card at the end of Unit 5 after you write the final exam, which will just be on the last half of the course. So email me if you have any questions, and let me know what I can do to help you proceed through the course, okay?